Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star Sports podcast presented by
Underdog.
Very good. Glad you remembered.
What's the next verse?
Speed of lightning.
Yes.
Bolt of thunder.
Yes.
Fighting those who rob and plunder.
I got to keep that queued up next time, and we got to play it because my singing of it may not do it justice.
I don't think we have the rights to that.
That was Sam McDowell and Vahe Gregorian. I'm Blair Kirchhoff, and we're going to talk Chiefs on the second to last day of training camp at Missouri Western State University in beautiful St. Joseph, Missouri. I don't know about you guys, but I'll be looking forward to putting St. Joe Mo in the rearview mirror.
It's not like we haven't had a blast here, ... But I think Dave Toba, associate head coach, spoke for about everybody when he began his news conference today, noting that there's only 1 day left. And look, I mean, different for us than for them, but I think everybody wants to get back to sort of a normal flight plan.
I wondered what the rookies, first-year players thought when the team plane landed back from Phoenix, the first preseason game, got on the buses, and started heading north.
It does seem like, and it's been this way all along, right? But it does seem like the more natural break in camp would be, okay, we got to the first preseason game, we're out.
Or not at all.
Or some would say, not at all.
All but like 5 teams would say, I think.
I think it is down to 5. Maybe it's 5 and the Chiefs, but
Is that the few?
It's the fewest, I think, since the turn of the century, something like that.
But I might be the only one. I really like camp. I don't like driving an hour up in the morning, but we get to see these guys in practice. Like, so much of our analysis in preseason is based on what we're seeing, not what we're being told. Our eyes get to see the practices for themselves.
I think that's a great point. I do think we're all talking about the drive. I think you love the process, as they say, maybe more. But I do think it's just the back and forth that gets you. It is actually pretty fascinating access point to see the sausage being made in ways we're not going to see again once camp breaks.
Well, I submit that you can have the best of both worlds here. That you can have training camp in Kansas City and have access to practice. And
You could.
And I think that's going to be the case if a new stadium is constructed and a new practice facility comes with it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Seems like that's how it would go. And of course, that's a whole rabbit hole maybe we don't want to go down. It may be a while till we know that, but anything you want to say on that, Sam?
No, I mean, I still think we're months, not weeks or days away from the Chiefs finalizing those decisions.
But we're only a few days beyond the Chiefs' preseason opener at Arizona and a few days before preseason game number 2 at Seattle. They picked about the longest flight they could possibly have for preseason game number 2, which got me thinking, too. I guess the NFL sets the preseason schedules.
I don't know. Like, why can't we travel to Chicago and Nashville every year?
Right.
Let's go play in the let's go cover a game in the TWA Dome or something again.
Well, look, you'll be glad to get this will be a new stadium for you, Seattle. Maybe could have done with that.
This last one.
Last one. There you go.
Good for you.
So that's big.
It's scheduled for me, yeah.
And I do agree on the 118 degree, Phoenix weather. I will say though that wily veterans Sam McDowell and myself really minimized our steps outside, and so that was big.
Well, you got to in Phoenix.
Yeah,
no doubt. I would implore you to tour the stadium. Walk around, get there early enough. It's a cool stadium and a great setting, and Lumen Field is. We'll see. Somewhere in the bowels of the stadium, painted on a wall, is home of the world's loudest fans. So Seattle and Kansas City have got that little competition going for each.
So does somebody need to paint over something there?
I think that at least paint it in red.
Chiefs took it. Seattle took it back, then the Chiefs took it back. I think the Chiefs still have whatever it is, 142.7 decibels in the Guinness.
142.2, I believe.
Okay. You might want to check me on this. Well, the other thing you're leaving out, Blair, is the full-service Starbucks in the Lumen Field press box.
That's right. Yep. There's a cool display, too, of
We're in a Starbucks right now.
That's exactly right.
St. Joe here.
St. Joe Mo. There's also at that stadium a cool display of every high school helmet in the state of Washington, which I think, I don't know how you could do it at Arrowhead with 2 states and a million high schools and, between them. But anyway, it's cool. At Seattle. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about what you guys saw, what everybody saw who watched the Chiefs preseason opener. And I want to talk about certain players. I thought what we'd do is discuss the players who might be trending upward to start, and then we'll go the other way. But the first name I have written down on the trending upward is Chris Wallace. He was the KC Star Player of the Game.
I saw that.
And for his...
Who voted on that?
Well, it was a panel.
Okay.
It was a panel. It was me and the cat.
Okay.
And we were split. I thought he had a great game, had the interception, and recovered the fumble on the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
And he at training camp is getting a lot of playing time with the ones, and has showed out at training camp, and he carried that into the game in a nice way. I don't think his position on the roster is questioned at all.
I think he's on it. I think what stands out is he got the interception as a safety, even though we've seen him play primarily as a cornerback here in camp. We've seen him take some snaps as a safety, but to your point, Blair, I think his spot on the roster is secure because of his versatility. They don't have a lot of guys, even cornerbacks, who will play the nickel cornerback. We've seen Trent McDuffie go there, and then Shamari Connor I still think is a better safety than he is a cornerback. It's who else plays nickel corner for him? Well, it's Chris Wallace we've seen at the deepest run with the 2s, and like you said, occasionally run with the 1s. And the fact that his big 2 plays you're talking about comes on special teams, and then as a safety, and his best position is probably as a slot cornerback.
Really bodes well for him.
It does. And we saw him play really only 2 games of significant action last year. It surprised us all when we were in San Francisco, and all of a sudden he's starting at that position. But they liked him enough last year as a UDFA to keep him. And now here he is a year later. And you shouldn't be surprised as we were last year. Remember when Chris Wallace made the roster last year? We were stunned, because the reps he was taking in camp did not suggest he was going to make the roster. None of us should be surprised this year if he's on the 53.
Just to reiterate your point, and what more would he have drawn up for making an impression in that game to be able to contribute in different places that way, and somewhat spectacularly, right? You start a game with the recovery, and we know it's just preseason, but it's exactly what you're looking for, a playmaker.
I remember it was a game at I think it was at San Francisco last year. He got an interception.
Yeah.
I remember having to look him up, because I just thinking, I don't know if he'd been with on the active roster until then.
He was on the 53, but not on the game day roster.
Yeah, game day roster, right?
Who wasn't dressed.
An active guy. So he's flashed before. So good for him.
Yeah.
But continuing in the secondary, Noel Williams also nice game. Had the big hit on the punt return.
And again, on both special teams and defense. But the big hit really did stand out. Was that on the 68-yard punt or 67-yard punt?
67.
That the punt returner dropped.
67.
Well, wait a second.
I insisted it was 68, but it was 67.
I do want to know, because it was presented at both distances on the broadcast.
So they initially, I'll give Bobby some credit. As soon as the punt was fielded, he said a 68-yard punt. Wow.
Did the math in my head.
Pretty good.
And then they announced it was a 68-yard punt. Official box score says 67. So he was the first one wrong about the distance of that punt.
But look, he did stand out, and this was kind of interesting to me. I wonder what you guys thought of it. I did notice that defensive backs coach Dave Merritt today, he seemed pleased with how he played. It noted he had the physicality, but kind of made it a point to say he should know the defense better than he does for being a guy who's locked in at one position
100%.
now.
Yeah, I got the impression that Noel Williams is not ready to play cornerback in the NFL, and it's because it seems like he doesn't have the playbook all the way down. And Dave Merritt's point was, you don't need another playbook. You're playing one position. You're not also. Chris Wallace needs to know the playbook in depth. in a way that Noah Williams, it's like, guard your guy. There's some zone calls you're going to have to know, but like, I think Dave Merrick certainly gave us the impression that he had hoped Noah Williams was further along in the mental part of the game than he is right now. And so it's why, none of us are talking about Noah Williams starting, despite the fact that Jalen Watson's out right now. Nazeeh Johnson, I think, has had a very up and down camp. Dave Merritt on Nazeeh Johnson said that I asked him how he's doing. He says, well, he bounces back from his mistakes really well. It's like, well, he's got a lot of opportunity right now in camp to practice that.
Listen, that quote flashed to us on the other side of the interview tent, because I was thinking, like, that seems to be the best thing he's saying, like that each time he gets beat,
he can bounce back.
He'll come right back.
Let's hold that thought, because I've got another list of players who are trending in the opposite direction.
Whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to jump the gun.
No, that's all right. Another player who made a pretty early impact, Jason Brownlee, wide receiver. What a catch. I mean, that was terrific. Not only a great catch, but we're talking about the touchdown, of course. The pass from Patrick Mahomes, 1-yard touchdown on the back shoulder, the type of play we just don't see the Chiefs
on this roster. Like we don't see him run it. What stood out to me and what I ended up writing about after the game was just that Patrick Mahomes threw that pass, because he doesn't throw back shoulder passes. The main player that Patrick has told us throughout the years that he emulated as a kid was not Tom Brady. It was Aaron Rodgers. He liked the way he played the game. He doesn't throw the ball the way Aaron Rodgers throws the ball. Like, he's got the arm there, Aaron Rodgers does, but he doesn't want to throw the ball into these tight windows. He's thrown the fewest tight window passes each of the last 2 years in the entire league. So to see him have a receiver that he was comfortable enough in preseason or not to throw a ball that was going to be a contested catch, I think it speaks to maybe we've seen him throw a lot of tight window passes this camp, and so maybe he's going to try that more this year. But also, you got to have the receiver to do it. And it's why I asked Mike Bradway today, the assistant GM, are you looking for the best 6 or 7 guys, or do you want your room to be diverse? And his answer was he wanted the room to be diverse. If you want your room to be diverse, he gives you something that nobody else on your roster does. And so I think there's no one at the onset of camp that was predicting Jason Brownlee was going to make the roster.
Right.
I still don't know if gun to our head, if we're going to say he's going to make the roster. But that comment speaks well for a player like Jason Brownlee.
That comment, that play, that play was fantastic.
Well, the term the receivers coach Connor Embry used today was that, crazy catch radius. And that's what it was. And Sam had alluded to watching Brownlee even in his things to watch before the game. And you can't come out of there not thinking that he's a different dimension for them. And, back to one of your original points too, Sam, you've thought a lot about red zone and situations like that. The play is the play. It's nice, but the fact of where it was is significant to what they need to be.
Yeah, it's a great point, because where the Chiefs struggled the last 2 years is in their red zone. They were 21st in the NFL in converting red zones to touchdowns last year. And actually did the math on it, because 3 seasons ago, so 22, they were second. And if they converted their red zone opportunities at that rate when they were second, which was like 71% as opposed to the 53% last year, they would have been 6th in the league in scoring. This is a massive difference when you're able to convert in the red zone. And that player helps you convert in the red zone, because you see a lot of single coverage. You see the safeties boxed in to stop the run, because all you need is a yard. If you've got Kareem Hunt, those safeties are going to have to stay in the box, and then you could potentially throw one-on-one situations. I don't think the Chiefs should feel comfortable at any other receiver throwing that one-on-one pass that we saw them throw to Jason Brownlee.
I really liked the way Robert Tonyan played and throughout camp, and then
you should speak to him, Blair, because I've missed a couple days at camp. He's about the same. You haven't missed a day up here. He's been great on camp.
He must have quarterbacks must have the highest completion percentage throwing to him than any other player at camp. He doesn't drop anything. He is amazing. It baffles me, without having followed his career closely, how he hasn't, he just must not have worked out contract-wise with Green Bay. But
it stuns me he was on the Chiefs practice squad last year.
Yeah.
And I know he wasn't completely healthy, but he was healthy enough to play. And the fact that Minnesota let him go mid-season and no one gave him an actual 53-man spot based on what we've seen, like he's an NFL player. And the fact he wasn't technically on an NFL roster last year is very surprising.
He's tight end 3 right now, as far as I'm concerned, ahead of Wiley.
Yeah, right. Just based on what I've seen here, it sure feels like that. And I guess, how have you felt about Wiley? I mean, is he just slow to get back still? I mean,
He tore the ACL last November, so for him to be back now is actually maybe a little bit ahead of schedule for those injuries. I think the Chiefs like him, and enough that he gets the benefit of the doubt. And he's a 4th-round draft pick, so I think he'll be the 4th tight end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, the big one. Only 11 plays for Josh Simmons, but I thought everybody went back and looked at film, all 22 and other clips that highlighted Simmons. Thought he did okay.
Yeah.
I heard this in the last day or so that he may have been tipping plays with his stance. I don't know. It seems to me something, if that's the case, can be worked out, can be coached out. But really quick feet, which is what was advertised with him. Great athleticism, and he was on the field for certainly the first touchdown drive, and then the second series, which picked up a couple first downs, but ended up punting it away.
Yeah.
But overall positive game for him.
Yeah, we saw what we saw in camp. I mean, Josh Simmons, when he's one-on-one, is really good. I still think that there's going to be other tests for him that he's just probably not going to get in preseason. A primary one could be being what happens when you get blitzed, what happens when the defensive line runs twists or stunts. That's stuff that other teams, Steve Spagnuolo runs a complex defense. He sees some different stuff, but different coordinators, different defensive linemen have different ways of implementing those things. And so I think the first month of the season is still going to be a unique test for him, but there's no way the Chiefs could have expected he'd be where he is right now heading in when they drafted him. They were really high on him when they drafted him, and I still think this has exceeded their expectations so far.
That's the thing that you just said at the end that it still blows my mind. Think about where we all were on this on draft day. Like, maybe he's got a chance to play, a few weeks into the season. I mean, I think the projection then was, maybe he can be doing full drills by the end of camp or something like that. So to be there, by the way, just a sort of side note, but I think Sam will agree, like, there were only 3 local media in Arizona, and Sam and I were 2 of them. And we found him to be, in that post-game chaos, kind of just happy to talk to us and
engaging,
illuminating and engaging.
Engaging.
Yeah. So it speaks well of him.
It also suggests maybe he was confident enough in his game that he can handle this. And somebody made a point last week. I thought it was a good one. When he lined up on Saturday, he was going against the best player he ever faced, and that'll be from now on. That'll be the case, right?
Yeah.
And he handled it okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the other side, not of the ball, but of the trending arrow.
Take a swing at picking sports this baseball season with Underdog. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on players' stats. Get them right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Sign up today using promo code KCSTAR to get a gimme pick as a part of your first cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
We're back on SportsBeat KC, presented by Underdog, talking with Sam McDowell and Vahe Gregorian. Okay, so we spent some time talking about the upwardly mobile Chiefs. How about maybe the other side, and maybe not necessarily the way they played, but when they played also. But we start with the player who lines up next to Josh Simmons, Kingsley Suamataia. He also just a handful of 11 snaps in the game. And look, again, the Chiefs were successful with a touchdown on the first one and a couple of first downs on the second one, with Gardner Minshew as the quarterback, by the way. Mahomes only played that first series. But I know there was one play that a lot of people talked about after seeing the film, and you guys saw it live, where Kingsley got kind of manhandled by a linebacker on a blitz.
So was it defensive back or was it linebacker? Yeah, I guess it was linebacker.
Was it linebacker?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and just didn't look good for him, and feeds the narrative a little bit that, he's still a major work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so much focus on Josh Simmons that I think people kind of forget it's the entirety of this left side of the line. And, Josh Simmons hasn't struggled at the NFL level yet. He will. But when Kingsley Suamataia struggled at the NFL level, he didn't respond well to it either. Like, he got out of his technique in that Week 2 game against the Bengals. He started to panic. And so I think there's real questions about what happens when he struggles again in the NFL, because he will struggle again. And what's his confidence like going into the season? Like, this preseason, they need to build up his confidence, but you also don't want to expose him. And so the Chiefs need to figure out where he's at to avoid this same mistake that they made last year. I think it's a delicate balance that they have with him. But, in camp, we've seen him get beat up in camp, and it's similar to the way he got beat against the Cardinals. We've seen him get driven back. I think he's, Brett Veach has talked to us about the way he's able to use his bumpers. They said that, I think it was the draft call when we had talked to him about Kingsley playing left guard, is they thought he would do better with bumpers without dealing with the speed rush that got to him last year. I think he's done better with that. We have seen him driven back on occasion. Now, Chris Jones is the best player. You talked about, what Simmons is going to face. There's no one that Kingsley Suamataia is going to face better than the guy he's seen in practice every day. So I think that's a positive. But I think it's an uncertainty at left guard. I'll, give him the benefit of the doubt, but, you can't be super confident right now, I don't think.
I think that's a fair assessment. The thing I wonder what you guys think of this in general. Maybe Kansas City Chiefs fans were spoiled a little bit by recent developments like Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith being instantly, fixtures. Is the arc of an offensive lineman's career? Don't we generally see that a second year or third year will be potentially significantly better if the foundation's there? Do we? How much do you weigh the rookie year overall? I mean, it's all we've seen. That's the problem. But don't we have reason to expect he can make strides just by virtue of being there longer and maybe being a better fit at the position?
I do, but a couple things. He's playing a new position.
Yeah. Right.
But it should work better for him moving from tackle to guard, because it doesn't seem to work well when you go from guard to tackle, as Joe Tooney in the Super Bowl showed us last year.
We've seen this work out in the NFL. The guy going against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, left guard last year with Malachi Becton, was a failed tackle for the New York Jets. Now, he was also a top pick. He had a better college pedigree than what Kingsley Suamataia came with as the last pick of the second round. But I mean, it can work. Yes, your rookie year is not going to be your best year if you're an NFL player. It shouldn't be your best year. But the inverse isn't necessarily true either.
Right, it's not automatic.
Yes, it's not automatic either. So I just think we're going to have mystery going into the season about what they have at left guard.
The Chiefs really want this to work out.
Yeah.
They really want this to work.
Yeah, and the point is they can't put all their eggs in that basket the way they did a year ago. They played Kingsley Suamataia sparingly at left tackle and just assumed that plan was going to work, and then that just started this turnstile all season long because he wasn't ready. I do think they're better prepared for it if he does fail than they were a year ago.
I agree.
They've got Caliendo, who played there last year, but they've liked what they've seen from Hunter Norzad too, who's in like Kingsley, his draft class from a year ago.
And we've seen Jalen Moore lined up there here at St. Joe.
Right. Yeah.
So
here's one other question for you guys: if the Chiefs are like us and are left wondering a little bit about Kingsley, why oughtn't they to play him an extra series last week and even coming up? Like, more reps, more sense of where he really is. Is there a reason that you say
I argued last week that I thought he should have played the most snaps out of anybody.
Yeah.
I do think that the Chiefs' thinking is he's going to start. You want him playing next to Creed Humphrey and Josh Simmons. Those are the guys he's been practicing with. Those are the guys he'll be playing in the game with. I did think one thing that was odd about the game is the starting offensive line protecting for the second-string quarterback, because that never happens here at camp. And then the second-string offensive line was protecting for the third-string quarterback, something else that never happens here at camp. So that had to be a little bit of an odd thing, considering, there's no familiarity, I think, with the quarterback and the offensive line that they were playing with. I think in the second game we'll see more ones with ones, 2 versus 2. Traditionally, Andy Reid has considered the second to last game to be the one that matters.
Right. We know that last year in the second preseason game, after playing 6 snaps in the opener, the starters played 24 snaps in the second game. So I think when Andy Reid says starter will get the first quarter this time, he means it. There'll be more than one series.
I still don't understand why Andy ever tells us they're going to play a quarter. I mean, you always know it's going to be
48 seconds.
I mean, that had to be the fewest snaps and time on clock time ever.
Yeah.
I liked how Isaiah Pacheco looked on the first snap, the 8-yard gain, and I think Kareem Hunt had positive gains. I thought it was interesting that Carson Steele came in next and not Elijah Mitchell.
I thought that was interesting too, and I also thought Carson Steele, to me, seemed to make the most of it. There, maybe one run was nondescript, but the 2 others I remember showed some burst, and it reminded me a little bit of why we got excited about him last year, or at least intrigued by him last year.
There's a couple guys. I hope these guys aren't on your list, but there's 2 guys that I think going into camp there was an assumption that they would be on the 53 automatically, who I don't think are automatics. Elijah Mitchell's one of them. I think most of us would predict him on the 53. I don't think he's automatic. I don't think we've seen a huge burst from him. He didn't play football at all last year. And the other one who may be on your list, so stop me, but Joshua Williams played deep into the fourth quarter.
He's on the line above Elijah Mitchell on my list.
Okay. Well, he hasn't. He's been playing with the 3s a lot in camp, sometimes with the 2s, but he's buried right now among a cornerback room that added Christian Fulton and added Noel Williams, and those guys are not getting cut. We talked about Noel Williams swimming a little bit. You can talk about Christian Fulton being out of practice, which we've discussed, but those guys aren't getting cut. And you've got Najee Johnson, who's not getting cut.
And not playing well, by the way.
Yeah,
but
Najee Johnson's not playing well. It's a great point, but he's still playing with the 1s today. You've got Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie. Like that, the math isn't working in Josh Williams' favor, and I wonder if that starts to become a trade chip before the roster cut down day.
Interesting with Josh. The players that we've mentioned here, and I'll throw another one in there. I to be honest with you, I don't know how he played, but Felix Anudike-Uzomah, somebody we talked about before the game that we were keeping an eye on. But these are guys who have started games for the Chiefs. Najee Johnson, Josh Williams, Carson Steele, Elijah Mitchell, of course, no. But Felix Anudike-Uzomah, when I think about this training camp and trying to size up the Chiefs this year, if these guys are kind of bubble, maybe on the wrong side of the bubble, then if you didn't think the Chiefs had a better roster, then this should convince you that they're in a position to replace starters. Not full-time starters, but guys who have started games for them.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I do think the way the Chiefs have most improved is the depth of the roster more than necessarily the starters. And that's a great example of it. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is such a weird case because you have 1 first-round pick who's the absolute talk of camp. I still think Mahomes should be the talk of camp. I think he's been terrific. It's perhaps the best training camp I've seen him have. But Josh Simmons is the talk of camp. You have another first-round pick who's just totally forgotten. Like, Felix Anudike-Uzomah is not talked about. He doesn't pop much. From people I talk to, they think he's having a really strong camp. Someone had said to me, if he was a 6th or 7th round pick, I think you guys would be talking about him a lot for a 6th or 7th round pick, but he's not. He's got a first-round pedigree. I do think that helps keep him on the roster. His first play, or was it second play?
First or second.
The preseason game, he popped. He got into the backfield.
First straight through.
Yeah, he forced a hurried throw. He's gained some weight. He's got a little bit bigger, but he's another guy who I think makes the roster, but he should be nervous when he wakes up on cutdown day. Well,
you think about who's there. At that position, he's He's number 5, at least number 5.
I think he's the 5th defensive end. They'll keep 5.
Okay.
You're right that he's clearly 5.
Right.
Because you've got Karlaftis, Dana, Amenahu, and
Gelati
are clearly running ahead of Felix there.
Okay. At Seattle, stupid kickoff time, 9 o'clock Central, Channel 41 once again, and Vahe and Sam will be there on the coverage. So, and we will talk to both of these guys next week on SportsBeat KC, presented by Underdog, and incidentally today, Dot's Pretzels. Hey, also thanks to Monty Davis and Randy Mason, to Jeff Rosen and Scott Chase, our editors. Thanks a lot. We'll talk again soon.